24/7 Sports.
Ryan, schematically, how much different is Michigan under Mike McDonald compared to what they were under Don Brown?
Significantly different. Yeah, I think this style of defense is a little bit more NFL oriented. The way that they're structured, I felt like Coach Brown was a little bit more college oriented, and they're very good. They have very good personnel, and they've done a good job this year.
Your first game in the rivalry was in 2017. Is it one of those things where you can be told time and time again, whether you're a player or a coach, but until you experience it, you don't really know what the intensity level is like in this game?
Yeah, I would say so. And I thought I'd seen a lot of games, and before we even kicked the ball off, they tell me that JT took a shot in his knee, and he may not be able to play before he even played a single snap in that game. So I knew at that point we were in scramble mode, and Dwayne had to come in the third quarter. So. And every year it's a battle.
Second row left, Bill Landis, The Athletic.
Ryan, playing Craig Young at cover safety last week, playing him just sort of a little more in general in that role, was that kind of using a guy's skill set dependent on the matchup you guys had there?
That's what it was, yeah. Craig's a little bit bigger and gives us a little bit more in the run game there based on some of the personnel that we're getting. So. And it's week in and week out based on what we're seeing.
With a guy like that, I'm sure he had thoughts on what his role might be this year. He's not played a ton. You moved him around a little bit. Just how have you seen him handle all of that to now he's at the point where you're counting on him?
Yeah, no, he's had a great attitude all year, and I think because of that, he's playing late in the season for us, and he's a very important part of our defense. I thought that he's worked really, really hard. His attitude's been great, and so here we are in some of our biggest games, and he's out there.
Ryan, coming into this year, Denzel Burke hadn't played corner a ton in high school, played some receiver, then was hurt his senior year. Did you know he could, make this much of an impact from the start and to play as much as he had and been as counted on as much as he had?
We knew he was talented, but didn't know he'd be able to make the impact that he's had so far. And he's got a huge challenge this week, and he's going to work really hard in preparation for this game. This is his first rivalry game, so I know he's excited about that. But he has really, learned the position well and stepped right in. And he's very competitive, and I think that's the thing you notice week in and week out is how competitive he is, and how consistent he's been.
Did he show that early on, like in camp?
Yeah, he showed up pretty early in a couple of the spring practices. Even he was coming off of the shoulder injury. He made a few plays early on, and you can usually tell with a young player when they make a couple plays, you have one.
Ryan, obviously you guys play Thibodeau, and you guys handled Karlaftis pretty well as a quarterback. When there's two guys that you kind of have to deal with, like what's going through your mind when you know that either side there's a guy to come get you?
Yeah, very big challenge for our tackles and for our whole offense. These guys do a great job off the edge and up front too. The two inside guys are very powerful. They do a great job in coverage, so it's going to be a big challenge for our guys in protection and for CJ and everybody. But it's also going to be the receivers to make sure they're getting open with separation. really good players, playing with an edge. So, we got to practice with an edge and we got to bring it as well. And, it's going to come down to, certainly, how hard each team plays, which, I think you're going to get everybody's best effort, but then it comes down to execution, who makes plays in the end. So the preparation this week is very, very important.
When an offense is as explosive as it is going against a defense that locks down as much as it does, what is the key to one going over the other in a sense from your vantage point?
I just think that when you're playing matchup games like this, it comes down to whatever edge you're looking for, and that's whether it's a schematic edge, whether it's an edge fundamentally, whatever it is, you have to find that edge in games like this. And so both teams have played a lot of football now, so they kind of know where they're at, and it's just a matter of now putting together a great game plan, practicing it, and then putting it on the field on Saturday.
Wide right, play hall from the SYX. Just curious if you've ever gotten caught in the tunnel that leads to the field and what you felt in that, walking beside them. Do players ever get in the face of a coach, or is it always player and player, or what the hell do you hear in that tunnel?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that tunnel. There's a lot of emotions are running high during the game, and so there's fans, there's opposing players, there's opposing coaches. We've had coaches who coach for the other team and coaches they coached with and kind of barking at each other in there. I mean, there's been all the above. So, but that's how you like it. That's what you want in a game like this.
The adrenaline's already going at that point, right?
The adrenaline's going now. Yeah.
Today.
Oh, yeah.
12:14 on Tuesday. Front row, middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, you grew up in New Hampshire. Throughout your coaching career until you got here, you had no connection with this game. When did it hit you just how big this game was?
My first year here, when my son would come in, every time we left the Woody, we would go through at the front door and watch the highlight video of the game before, and that was a double overtime game. And I just remember thinking to myself, I just want to be a part of this because it meant so much to so many people. And I watched this game growing up, watched so many games, watched that game the year before, and just saw what it meant. And instantly, it became something I just wanted to be a part of, and hope that I was able to enjoy, a victory against the team up north. And it's something that I understand what it means to so many people, and just tried to embrace it over the years.
Can you describe the pressure that you feel, especially in a game like this one with so much at stake? And it's not just the rivalry; it's everything else this year.
Yeah, I try not to focus on that because it doesn't do you any good. When you start to think about what you just said, it can become overwhelming for anybody. And to say it isn't, that's not accurate. So what do? You just get right back in it right now. Let's go. Let's have a great day today. Let's have a great team meeting. Let's have a great practice, and let's just try to grind the best we can as we get into to Saturday at noon. And I don't know what else to tell you other than there is a lot of pressure, and that's the way you want it. You want this game with everything riding on it. At their place, it's going to be wild environment, and again, that's why you come to Ohio State.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Letterman row.
Right. Urban pretty famously would look for, quotes or comments from analysts or the other team and use that message board material sometimes. What's your philosophy on that? Do you find it works? Do you want it? Do you look for it? Do you use it?
I mean, we focus on ourselves, but there's obviously a social media out there, and there's guys read things here and there, and we certainly don't need extra motivation for a game like this. Everything's riding on it, and it's the rivalry game, but I know the guys are always watching and see what's going on up there.
Is there even an actual bulletin board anymore, or is that like...
We have TVs.
Okay.
We have TVs throughout the facility, and we'll put some stuff up on there every now and again.
If you're working on a speech, though, does that stuff slip in that something that somebody might think, or is that just not part of the way you operate?
I don't know. I think I try to think things through when we message the team. We try to be very thoughtful about that. But then every once in a while, you let your emotions kind of jump in. You have to be real. I think the guys appreciate that.
Far left, Ross Kellinger, Sports Illustrated.
Ryan, last year's game being canceled, emotionally, what kind of impact did that leave on your team?
It was actually a fairly quick turnaround because it was the third game that we actually had canceled that year, and we quickly were told that we were playing a game the next week. It was a difficult year last year, and we had several games that were canceled, and so at that point we were kind of riding the roller coaster a little bit. But it was certainly something that we had to kind of turn over the next page quickly and move on.
This year, how does it impact any motivation or anything?
I mean, I don't think we need any more motivation. Two teams playing in the rivalry game for a chance to go to Indianapolis. Two very good teams, and here we are in November, Thanksgiving week. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Do you know yet if Emeka is available on Saturday? I guess it's kind of a two-part question. First on him, and then secondly, why was Julian the guy that you chose out of everybody to take that on last week?
We're hoping to have Emeka for this weekend available, but Julian, he first off, he wants to do it. He really was kind of in Parker's ear all month about getting back there, and then certainly when Emeka was unavailable, he wanted to get in there and kind of owned it. And I thought he did a couple good job on a couple of the returns, and we're getting close there. But I think that Julian has the big playability to take one back. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he's got good running skills, and so that's another weapon for us back there.
How much do you prepare to see J.J. McCarthy mixed in with their offense, and what are just your analysis of what you've seen from him in the way they've used him this year?
Well, he's very, very talented, and he has kind of a dual threat approach to his game. He can do some things in the the ride and decide game, and he can also throw the ball. He's quick, and so he has a little bit of that dual threat. And so it seems like that's kind of what they've done a little bit when he's been in the game. But he can also throw the ball really, really well. So we'll have to go through and really look at the film and find out what the tendencies are. But at the end of the day, we're not going to change really what we do defensively based on who's in the game. They don't have that much of a different package.
Over your far right, now, Barrett, WBNS. Do you work on this game year round, and if so, what kind of things do you do, and how much do you watch them throughout the tape of what they do?
Yeah, we always have one eye on them. It's just the way we go. We do our business, in recruiting or in the season. You can't be crazy about it, otherwise you're going to get distracted from what the task at hand is during the season. But we always have an eye on them, and as in the off season we have different things that we do, whether it's in practice or in the weight room, that's dedicated towards this game.
There's a lot of traditions that go with this game: senior tackle, the marching band. Every coach that's been here has tried to put their print too. Have you created anything now that you're the head coach for this week?
Well, not really, other than just trying to continue the great tradition that's been here. I think there's a lot with this week. There's a lot on our guys' plate, and some great traditions. Obviously, the band coming on Sunday night is a great tradition. We have Thanksgiving. We always bus up to Ann Arbor. So there's a lot anyway with Thanksgiving and everything this week. So the biggest thing for us is just, really talking to our guys about how to manage this week, how to get your rest, how to stay focused. And with a little bit of a different week, with so much going on, really not a little bit, a lot going on, just really focused on preparing to play the best game they can possibly play at noon. And that's really what we've spent our time on.
Ryan, in a game like this with CJ, who's so calm and, always just sort of easygoing, knowing what's coming on Saturday, do you guys arrange for him to talk to guys like Justin or JT or Dwayne about what to expect in that stadium and, how to prepare for this game differently?
No, because while it's obviously a huge game for so many reasons, the game itself isn't any different than playing the game, against a really good opponent. You have to still go out there and play the game. You can't overthink things. Certainly there's a lot riding on it. But other than that, we're still playing football, and it's still going to be, a loud environment and all those things, and against a really good team. So, there's certain things you want to talk about, but there's also things that, you just got to go out there and do what you've done all year and have confidence in that, because we've built up, a lot of good reps this year.
Do you think playing at Nebraska helped you guys get ready for this? Because, it's not the same rivalry, obviously, but the atmosphere in Nebraska was pretty good, and a fan base that's very, intense.
Yeah. I think, even the first game against Minnesota, and playing on some of these road games has been great. And it's all part of the puzzle on where we've gone today and part of the journey. And, this will be a new step in the journey. After on Saturday, on Sunday morning, our whole team will have played in this game. That'll be another new thing. There's been a lot of new things this year. And so this has been obviously on our schedule for a long time. We've been preparing for it. And so now we got to have a good week.
24/7 Sports.
Ryan, similar to what Bill asked you, but when there's, say throughout the records, I think you said that after the game, but when the records are what they are this year,
yeah,
does that change anything? Not necessarily what you do. I know how you guys prepare for it, but just the mentality of going into a game. And like you said, there's everything on the line.
No, I mean, the preparation is going to stay the way it is. And that's something that we've always talked about is just our standard and, focusing on us. But that being said, when you play against a really good team, you got to do your homework. You got to know where their strengths and their weaknesses are, what they do schematically, all the above. So, I think there's a part of that that's true.
You mentioned watching this game when you were younger. Was that just because of how big it is? I mean, I know there's plenty of rivalry games that happen across the country this week, but being in Massachusetts, were you aware, of this? Maybe not on the level you are now, but different than maybe in Alabama, Auburn, or some of the other rivalry games.
Yeah. I just it was just growing up one of those things you just always watched. If you love college football, this is the biggest game there is, and just to remember, great games and so many people caring so much about this game. And it didn't really matter where you were. Certainly in Ohio and up north, it was front and center. But across the country, it's the same way.
Got time for just a few more. Deep left, Brendan Gulick, BuckeyesNow and Sports Illustrated.
Coach, the two games against Penn State and Nebraska, red zone offensive efficiency was not particularly good. The last couple of weeks, things have certainly gotten much better. What has been cleaned up the last couple of weeks that's enabled you guys to be more efficient?
I think we've been cleaner, just overall execution. The penalties have been down. We got to keep that up if we're going to win this game. I think we had one penalty last week total. And when you look back on those games, it was a ton of them, and a bunch of them on offense, just foolish ones that got us off schedule. And certainly when you get off schedule in the red zone, that's when you really get yourself out of whack. I feel like the run fits have been better. We've been doing a better job staying on schedule in the run game and being more efficient there. So I think when you combine all those things, it's allowing for better efficiency.
Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave have gotten a ton of recognition that maybe Jackson Smith-Njigba hasn't quite received on a national level. Perhaps it's just the veteran status, but it feels like Jackson Smith-Njigba has quietly had maybe slightly better of a year than either Chris or Garrett. What have you seen from him that makes him really stand out, maybe beyond the statistics?
Well, I just, I don't know who, when you say better year, I don't know what that means. I think they've all played at a high level, and I think Jackson has done a very, very good job on the perimeter blocking. He's done a good job on third down. He's done a good job on first down. He's been just efficient with what he's done. And I think all three of the guys are different. They bring different things to the table. But the thing that I really appreciate about all of them is their unselfishness. And certainly with Jackson, early on, he was doing a lot of the blocking and just different things like that. And the ball was, maybe going to, Garrett and Chris a little bit more. But, you never saw him get selfish about it at all. And then all of a sudden it's come around and he's played well. So all three of those guys got to play well. And you just don't know going into a game who's going to get the majority of those touches. And it's not anything good or bad, for any three of them. It's just sometimes the way the game goes.
Third row right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, just a couple of quickies. Ryan, has CJ wrung out the offense the last couple of weeks? Meaning, has he gotten pretty much the most out of it you could ask for when he's in there? And do you see that continuing to evolve, his ability to find the guy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the issues are always there. I say that all the time. And it's our job to make sure we identify what those issues are and to be clean. And, certainly efficiency's been much better, but, by no means perfect, anybody on offense. And so, we got to continue to grow and get build and get stronger and keep upgrading. Like we talked about, every week has got to be an upgrade.
And, do you personally, with everything you've got going on, are you able to find quiet time for yourself? Do you make quiet time for yourself to just think through things? Do you have that, or do you even have to do that? Someone asked me about 3 or 4 years ago in the off season, we're talking about just the day-to-day stuff. And someone asked me, so when do you have time on your own? And I thought for myself, boy, I never do.
And I really thought about that long and hard. And then during the pandemic and during COVID, I had an opportunity to kind of spend a little more time by myself just because of the way things were. And so I've tried to do that some, certainly not on a week like this. There's no time. Every single second is you have to maximize every single second. So by the time that game's over, you're blown out. It's just the way it goes. But during the season, I do try to find some time. Certainly, you don't get to see your family much. So when you do have free time, you like to be around your family because that kind of gives you a lot of peace as a coach, is being around your wife and kids, and they certainly do that for me. But every once in a while, it is good to have a little peace and quiet. I would say the only time right now would maybe be in the car. You just turn the music down and just take about 15, 20 minutes and enjoy a little time on yourself.
And one other quickie, do you have a propensity in games like this, you personally, to be more tight or more loose when it comes to like literally calling the offense? I mean, what have you found?
I don't know. I mean, I think it just depends on the situation in the game, and there's so many variables at play, and you just have to do whatever you think is best to win the game. And if that means winning 10-7, that means winning 10-7. That means winning, 62-60. That's what you got to do too. You don't know what that scoreboard is going to look like, and it isn't about anything other than winning the game. And whatever you think is best at that time, you got to do.
And final question, third row right, Doug Lavery, Cleveland.com.
Just out of curiosity, do you know Mike McDonald at all? You ever met him?
I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't.
You talked about watching that 2016 video with RJ, right? That kind of helped introduce you. That wasn't just an Ohio State Michigan game the year before you got here. That was like a great game, right? Double overtime. Sometimes there are games that sort of enter the fabric of the rivalry a little more than others, right? You guys dropping whatever it was, 62 and 56 the last two times in this game. What do you think that has done to the rivalry for your offense the last two times in this game to show out like that? How has that affected the rivalry?
I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe when it's all said and done and I'm done here, we can go back and look at some of those things. But right now it's like, I'm so focused on this game right now and trying to maximize our team and get ready to play in this game. And I certainly appreciate the question, but that means nothing. Then, we got to play really good in this game. And then maybe in a few years, we can go back and look at what these years have been like. But all I can think about is playing in this game.
They threw the ball to Donovan Edwards 10 times last week. There have been, for instance, Chris Olave for you guys, his freshman year, end of the year, 2 touchdown casting against Michigan.
Yep.
What does it take for a freshman skill guy to come on like that at the end of the year? And how does that affect your prep when all of a sudden Edwards is a much bigger part of their game plan than they had been previously?
Yeah, good player. We recruited him. He's the same year as Trey, and has a good skill set. So like you said, when Chris that freshman year, he blocked the punt, had 2 touchdown catches. Then the next year, Garrett really came on the scene. And that was a big game for him as a freshman. And so I use those 2 examples all the time to a young freshman that sometimes it takes that full year for you to get your feet in the ground. And certainly Donovan's a good player and a lot of respect for him. And so it looks like he's really coming into his own right now. So we got to be aware of where he's at.
And then I'm going to ask you an awards question that maybe you don't want to answer because it's Michigan week, but they just released a bunch of the individual award finalists today. Biletnikoff Award, for instance, 3 guys, 3 receivers, no Ohio State guys. All-American teams are being selected right now. Some of us in this room are voters on stuff. From your viewpoint, what would your advice be to any voter on all this stuff about how you differentiate a team that has a lot of good players doing something and maybe guys who are standouts and are great players, but stand out more on other teams? I think you know what I'm asking. And I just think, again, we vote for this stuff. It can be hard. I'm just curious what your advice would be on that.
Yeah. And I don't like talking about it during this week. And I usually don't like talking about it in general, individual awards, but I will say that I agree. I think the individual award should go to the best players, not necessarily the best statistics. And I think that sometimes there's a lot of, different scenarios for the players at Ohio State. We just, like you said, we have several good players on both sides of the ball. And sometimes we get into games where they're maybe not playing as many snaps as some of the other guys across the country. So I think that should be taken into consideration.
Great. Coach, thank you
Okay, thanks.
Alrighty, my guy. Thanks, Zach. All right, folks, we're going to open up the floor for defensive end Zach Harrison. First off, front row left, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Zach, how helpful is it the fact that it's you and Tyreek rushing the quarterback when somebody that they have to worry about on both sides?
Yeah, it's I've definitely noticed that my game has gotten better when Tyreek plays more. Because it's who you're gonna slide to. You leave either of us 1-on-1. We're both capable of winning the majority of our 1-on-1 matchups. So it's guaranteed one of us gonna get 1-on-1 almost all the plays, and I've all faith in him that he can get pressure on the quarterback, and he got the same faith in me.
Far left, Jared Smalley, WCMA.
Hey, Zach. Michigan this season's among the best teams in the country preventing preventing sacks, preventing tackles for loss. You all last week not only got to the quarterback, but you were very active with your hands, slapping balls out of the air. Was that emphasized as just another way to affect the quarterback? How does that affect you moving forward?
Yeah, that was one of our our goals for the week is to affect the quarterback, and that's something that we always have in the D-line room. But in the defensive meetings, we emphasized it last week. And if you can't get home, put your hand up. Coach says a batted pass is the same as a sack almost. It's new set of downs for the offense, and they got to they're behind the chains. So it's something that we emphasize and we worked on every day at practice.
Third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Zach, to not get the opportunity to play Michigan last year, you lose one of those opportunities. Does that make this game, even more important to you?
I mean, this game is as big as it can get every single year. So, as much as added motivation, there's really not much. We got to play a team up north, and you got to go get a win.
And there's a lot of guys on this team who haven't played them yet because you guys didn't have the game last year. What do you maybe say to some of the younger guys to make sure they understand just how big this game is?
They know. The second you walk into the building, you know how big this game is. We train for it every single day of the offseason, every single day of the year. We got this game in the back of our mind and know it's finally here. And, those guys who haven't played in the game, they're excited, to get a chance to go play a team up north.
Front row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Zach, could you just kind of give your analysis of Michigan's defense, of Michigan's offense? What kind of challenges they pose to you guys?
It's kind of similar to last week. They're a run-heavy team. They like to stay on schedule and like play action pass off their run game. They like to run the ball a lot, and that's something that we got to do a good job of keeping them off schedule.
You mentioned the way that Tyreek can make you better. Michigan's got two great defensive ends. I don't know. Do you study them at all? Are you familiar with them?
I mean, I know both of them. Yeah, I know both of them. They're both pretty good. They're both really good players. They're 97. Aidan, he's a senior and he's a big, strong, physical guy. And then David Jobo, he's the same guy. He's a long, bendy guy. He can get around the edge. They're both good players.
Right next door, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Zach, when the game was canceled last year, how did you process that?
It's just tough. You put in all this work in and you don't get a chance to, good show it on the field. But, it was COVID year, so you really can't control what went on.
The fact that at that point there, were you guys used to having games canceled almost?
You're not really used to ever having a game canceled. It's kind of weird. You practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's like, oh, get canceled. So you're like, oh, well, I guess on to the next opponent, That's kind of how it was last year. It was a weird year.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
What do you think is the single biggest difference in this defense from week 2 to now?
I'd say confidence. Confidence. Just keep playing better and better. We keep getting better and better, and it's guys notice that, and guys are, like I said, you play with confidence. You play so much better. You play faster. You play more physical, and you just that belief in yourself really helps you play better.
It's sort of a weird sort of debate, right? Like you have to play better to get that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start to feel like that maybe was shifting for the whole group?
I would say I feel like we really clicked after that Tulsa game, and Akron was next. It was a plan. We had to go in there and felt like we had to make a statement. We had to play our best ball to that point. I feel like we did that. I feel like we've been rolling ever since.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 20 Sports.
Zach, you obviously considered both these schools in your recruitment. I'm curious how much you pictured this game and being on either side of it when you were deciding between the two and visiting and those different things.
Yeah, I definitely imagined playing back in high school, playing on both sides of this game. But I'm here now, and that's really all that matters. I'm a Buckeye, and we got a job to do on Saturday.
And when you visited Michigan, was it as emphasized in the recruitment as it is here?
To be honest, I don't really remember. That was 4 years ago, a long time ago.
So deep left, Brendan Gulick, BuckeyesNow, Sports Illustrated.
A couple things, Zach, kind of maybe building off what Pat just asked you. You made the comment that the young guys who haven't played in this rivalry yet, you said they know.
Mm-hmm.
How much in the recruiting process was it talked about, like, hey, this game is as big as it gets?
I mean, I already knew because I'm from here, so I know, growing up 4th, 5th grade, I knew what it was. I knew that Ohio State and Team North, it's not a lot of love between those teams. And, growing up and getting the chance to, go visit there and visit here and seeing both sides of it and enrolling here and really getting a full, the full grasp of what this game means to Ohio State and what this game means to everybody in this building, outside of this building, has, made it that much more important to me.
Use the word confidence as something that you've noticed growing on the defensive side. What is your impression of how much more confident your offense is in watching them surgically move down the field routinely?
Watching them every week, it's like, I feel like they just can't, I feel like they can't be stopped. And that's what we feel like, they feel like when we're firing on all cylinders on offense, it's a tough challenge. We got a receiver room that is the best in the country. I feel like our 3 receivers can go to the NFL right now and be a top 5 receiving core in the NFL. CJ, like I said, can get the ball anywhere on the field from anywhere. Our line, I think, is the best in the country because I go against them every single day. And then, Trey and Maya and what they bring to the table, and Master Teague as well, running the ball. You got to pick your poison, it feels like.
Far left, Justin Holbrook, WCMA.
You mentioned this game in 4th, 5th grade. Do you know what your first memory was of watching this team? Do you remember?
I remember I was watching with one of my friends on my couch. That's pretty much all I remember. I remember Team of North and Ohio State playing. And I remember, again, watching a few years back in my other friend's basement, the game where it was like, I don't remember the score, but it was the game after the 2017. I remember that game very vividly, watching it and my friend's basement, and they were all cheering and everything. And I was trying to be neutral because, I was recruiting everything and didn't want to tip my hand and everything. But, yeah, I remember that.
Being an Ohio guy, did you ever visualize yourself being a part of that game? And now that you're in this moment, does that like to reflect on of having that dream and now it's almost here?
It's a dream come true. Growing up here and watching that game and knowing the history behind it and knowing what it means to people in Columbus, being able to go out there and play in it is a huge honor, and it's something I don't take lightly.
To 3rd row right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Zach, how old are you?
20.
20. And during your lifetime, Ohio State is 17-2 in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still a big-time rivalry from your viewpoint? Explain why it's still a big-time rivalry.
It's the biggest rivalry in all the sport, I think. And, explain it. You just got to feel it. I don't know. It just is, It is Ohio State, Team of North. Is one of those rivalries that always been there and always will be here. And it's our job to continue that legacy.
Right next door, Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com.
Zach, Michigan threw the ball to Donovan Edwards 10 times last week. It's kind of his biggest game to date. What did you note of that? And how do you prepare for maybe a guy coming out of the backfield that's going to be part of the passing game?
We get the game plan today, so we'll see what our coaches have in store for him. He's a good player, and like I said, he catches the ball at the backfield very well, and that's something that we gotta pay attention to.
I think on the second play of the game last week, you dropped in coverage on Jaden Reed.
Mm-hmm.
You're like boxing him out. Can you just take us through that play? And I don't know, that seemed to be maybe an encapsulation of what kind of player you can be with your size and quickness and that kind of stuff.
I was just doing my job. That was my job on that play, and and I feel like I just had to play my part, 1 of 11, and that's what I tried to do.
Put a shout out in film watching or anything on that one?
No, it's just one of them do your job plays,
We'll do deep right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Zach, you're a captain and tone setter for this defense, but when you see Haskell do what he did in the skull session, or you hear that, and then you go out on the field in the first play of the game, he completely blows up a Heisman Trophy candidate running back. What does he do for your defense when he sets the tone like that from the first snap and even before that in the pregame?
It creates energy. When Haskell made the play, I just felt it. the defensive energy just kind of took off. And, we're celebrating on the field, having a good time, and that's when I feel like we're the best. We're playing, having fun, celebrating, making plays. Just that's what defense is about. Defense is about energy, and that's what Haskell does a good job of bringing.
A bit limited during the middle chunk of the season, whatever he was dealing with. You guys still played really well as a defense, but do you feel that he's back and fully healthy and really making an impact now, or does it feel the same as it has during this entire defensive progression? What does he do? What does he bring you guys when he's fully healthy?
Like I said, he's got really good big playability. I feel like he's always got the ball in his hands somehow, and that's something that a lot of D tackles don't have. Like, how do you always find your way to pick up the ball? That's something that you really can't teach. Just like I said, the big playability, and that's what he brings. And like I said, a bunch of energy. I love playing to Haskell because I know he's on the same page I am, and along with the rest of the D line, the rest of the defense. When you have a defense that's all on the same page, and like I said, playing together, having fun, it's gonna be hard to beat.
Got time for just a couple more. Front row middle, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
As you said before, Michigan, a very run-heavy offense. They haven't taken a lot of sacks this year, but it seems like they avoid them at a higher rate than that, just because they're not running the ball that much. So, what are you seeing on film as to why they've been able to do that, and what does that mean for you guys on Saturday?
It just means we got to get after them for more. It's every week the games get bigger and bigger, and that's what Coach Day says. And big-time players show up in big-time games, and that's what us as a D line we're trying to do. We're trying to impact the game and make sure we leave our footprint on the game.
They seem like they get rid of the ball fast. I mean, that's kind of their approach. And then how do you, as a defense, how do you counter that?
Like you said, if we can't get home, get our hands up, passing lanes are, clogging those up, closing the pocket, making them uncomfortable is, like I said, we always want to get sacks and get to the quarterback, but quarterbacks can feel it if there's guys in the pocket and he can't just sit his feet, just throw routes on air pretty much. That's what we try to avoid.
And final questions over here, far right, Clay Hall, WSYX.
Ask Coach about walking in that tunnel down to the field at the big house. Anything crazy ever happen in there for you as a freshman? You were a freshman.
Yeah, I was only there once, and it's just a good atmosphere. You go in there and playing away is fun because you get to be the bad guy. And, you hear the boos, and it kind of gets you motivated, kind of get you going.
There's a little rumble in there as you were you beside them?
It's like the locker. It's like ours and theirs. So like, I was in the back. I was a freshman, so I really, I got the back end. They already left, and then the senior guys left. I was just kind of trailing. So I don't really have any fun stories for you. Locker room to locker room. I wish I did.
Great, Zach. Thank you very much.
Yep, no problem.
Thanks, Zach. Tell you what's awesome is our band coming through that tunnel. I mean, it's like wide as the tunnel. I mean, you're up against the wall, and they're playing something. Yeah. Do you go back and forth? No, it's not. It's not. We as Spirit, yes, we do. We as Spirit. How about you? I believe the band is going. Crappy this year. I don't know. I think I'll check. Yes. I thought I heard that they were moving the band off the field.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know that for a fact, but I think so. But we're still looking.
Even without the band, start an investigation.
Very well.
Small house.
Yeah, he was angry. I mean,
Okay, Ross, great to meet you. Well, I think it's cool. Okay, have a good Thanksgiving. Ohio State.
Real architecture.
How do you guys get to the, do you guys even go to the field or you just go around? Are you even allowed, are you even allowed out the field?
It's by the Christ, it's by Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
We covered.
So you don't go up, you don't walk over an aisle to get to the field, because that's kind of scary. I mean, that's, I cover everything up. I mean, because you're going, you know, it's like 80 yards. Michigan fans on your right and
Last
left.
3 times I was up there, I walked down and then walked across the field.
Did you?
Yeah. And, but they didn't want to let you in at the gate, you know.
Good.
Make sure that. So you turn your head.
Yeah, I did it No, it's, yeah.
That's the biggest.
Remember,
the legal.
Just don't walk around.
Bristol is the track and ground level there, right?
That was the only time.
Keep an eye out.
That happened.
First time you see you go to Michigan State for the first time you know.
Was that when we were all like in maybe Justin Warren's game, and so he was going up against his teammates? Wasn't it really warm? Remember the
It wasn't a bad day.
Really warm.
Warren was just nope, just walk right in. That's like early 1:30. I was like, just like really warm.
Very Justin.
Joe, that was.
Yeah, Zach was a senior in 12, so his brother would have been a senior in like 10.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah.
But that was before they had changed, they still let you out on the field, even in 11, because we were down on the field in 11, and Miller, like, overthrew Posey and went up there. That was the last time that they let riders on the field, after in the fourth quarter. That was a hell of a game.
What are you talking about?
Well, Michigan was about to put it away, and then they were like a 1 yard line, and they got like a second. But I don't think they let us on the field.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but the radio show is live tomorrow, noon to 1. Not anything recorded this past Saturday night. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It would be fun to do a taste test of that, like blind faces, babies. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Did you tell me to? I tasted you. No. Did you put a little cream in it? Oh, did you? How was that? Feel it. Yep, ESPN down in the corner.
Only the same grades.
What's that? Some captains, I think we'll get Haskell, Olave, Eugene to steal my stuff. Yeah. All right, folks, we're gonna open up the floor for questions for defensive tackle Haskell Garrett. Front row left, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Haskell, I guess, how would you describe the way Michigan's offense operates as far as how quickly they get rid of the ball, and then what does that mean for this defense, maybe especially for you guys in front?
They're a big offensive line. Quarterback is very skilled, and so we just got to bring it every down. Get our hands up, try to deflect balls, but really just play all overall good defense.
What did you like so much about the way that this defensive line handled the run last week, more than just like what the eventual stats at the end of the day were? What did you, when you went back and watched film, what stood out to you?
Just really how much we were detailed in our technique shows up on the film, and how really what Coach Jay teaches us in terms of fitting the run and how to make a new line of scrimmage. And we have a big challenge ahead of us this weekend. They pride themselves on running the ball, and yeah.
Fourth row left, Colin Gay, Rivals.
Kind of in the same vein, Haskell, you were mentioning kind of the snowball effect for the run defense on Saturday, and I'm curious about, as you watch Michigan's running backs, I mean, do you see a chance to kind of pick up where you guys left off from Michigan State? Is it kind of like the same style of run, the same kind of approach for you guys?
It's just, It's a different opponent. This is our rival. I wouldn't say it's the same approach. There's a lot of feelings and a lot of that goes into this game. We prepare for this game 365 days a year. So to say it's the same approach as last week, it's not. It's rivalry week, and we know how important it is to get this win. And for the running backs are very versatile. They're great running backs in the backfield, and we have a big challenge ahead of us this weekend.
Momentum, though, just based on shutting down kind of a Heisman hopeful in the backfield, can give you guys. I mean, Zach Harrison was talking about confidence for you guys, and I'm curious, could that snowball into kind of the confidence and just the mentality of what you guys do against Blake Corum or maybe Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins?
Yeah, no, whether it was me last week or it could be Zach this week or it could be Tommy Eichenberg. You never know. So whoever sparks that energy early in the game, everybody will feed off of.
We'll go far left. Brendan Gulick, BuckeyesNow on Sports Illustrated.
Haskell, happy Thanksgiving. I'm curious about how you manage your emotions this week. You talk about this is the kind of week you prepare for every day all year. And yet, I have to think there's some level of trying to make things feel normal, going through normal film sessions, normal practices so that you have a routine focus coming into this week. How do you manage the emotions when you want to ride really high or you're trying to pick yourself off of things?
Yeah, try to keep it as normal as possible, especially as well. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Just trying to manage everything that comes with this week. You have Thanksgiving, and then you kind of got to go from being in the family sense and being happy to then changing your focus back to the game, and getting locked in and focused. It's just always being able to flip that switch on and off. Coach Day always refers to, there's time to relax and have fun and enjoy each other's time, especially with Thanksgiving. But there's a time when you have to flip that switch on and be locked in to your technique and everything that you do in preparation for the game.
To his right, Jacob Bench, the Lantern.
Hey, Haskell, we talked to Brian earlier, and he mentioned how he feels as a coach that there's a sense of pressure going into this game. I'm curious, from your vantage point as a player, do players feel that sense of pressure, and how do they go against balancing that and during rivalry week?
Some guys haven't. This is their first time going into the rivalry week. There's fresh faces that didn't play in this game 2 years ago. Unfortunately, with unfortunate circumstances, the game was canceled last year. So there's new faces on all over the field, offense and defense. So it's just managing this week. There's a lot of pressure, but we thrive in pressure.
The game was canceled last year, of course, and as you go in preparing for this week, how much does last year kind of affect how much you're preparing for this week and how much you're putting into another matchup with the Wolverines?
It's just really enhancing what we did last week, just sacrifices, whatever you got to do, whether it's get your homework turned in earlier in the week. It's, talking to your parents earlier in the week so that you have more time to focus on this team because, like I said, this is rivalry weekend. This is the one that you dot on your calendar every year.
Front row right, Jeremy Birmingham, Letterman row.
So how do you make sure that guys don't get too emotional, though, this week? I mean, last week you had the big speech pregame, and then after the game you said, hey, I meant what I said. You had a huge stop on the first play of the game and sort of sparked the whole defense. But that this game's a little different in the way that things happen pregame and all the jawing back and forth. How do you keep guys from not going too far?
Just kind of reverts back to what Coach Day says, play with emotion, don't emotion play with you. And so we need everybody out there, whether, just in between plays, just getting chippy. You don't want a guy thrown out over a stupid penalty. We need everybody out there. And so just for that, it's just as me being the oldest and the leader on the team, I need to control my emotions, and they look at me as an example. So I need to make sure that everybody follows me in the sense of, making sure that your emotions are in check and when to play between the whistle.
How much was this game emphasized to you in your recruitment? You're from Las Vegas, from Hawaii. Like, you weren't a kid who grew up in this. How did they emphasize it to you in recruiting?
When I first walked in the building, there was no blue pens. There was no, you couldn't wear blue. Me coming from Bishop Gorman, our colors were orange and blue. And so when I walked in, I had a blue sweatshirt on. Immediately it was taken off. and Coach Meyer, the head coach at the time, really emphasized how much this rivalry is and how much it means to not only us in the university, but the fans as well.
Right next door, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Haskell, has all that emphasis that you heard about during your recruitment, has it lived up to playing in that game?
I mean, it's just it. I truly, honestly believe it's the greatest rivalry in sport. You know, this dates back. I've had people's grandparents talk about, great grandparents talk about this rivalry when, you know, Woody Hayes was here, and how much this meant. And I mean, it runs deep, not only in the football program, but in all of state of Ohio.
How much thought had you given to your pregame speech on Saturday? I know you said you said it, you meant it. But like, was that just in the moment? Did you plan on saying that all along? What goes into that?
I mean, I didn't plan on saying it. It was on my heart, and that's how I felt going through that week. You know, it wasn't planned out at all. It wasn't a shot. It was just what I was feeling and what my emotion was feeling at the time and place, and I said it. And so, yeah.
Deep right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
You had just talked to Jeremy about, you know, setting the tone and being a leader, but on the field, when you take the field in the first play of the game, blow up the backfield and make a huge impact, how much do you think that sets the tone for the rest of the defense to do that on the first play against a Heisman Trophy candidate running back?
I mean, it sets an example, you know, for not only the guys now, but guys who are going to be playing next year, that once you set that example and set that tone in the beginning of the game, first snap, it's like I said on Saturday, it's a snowball effect, and then it radiates throughout the whole team. And once you have that energy, you know, you just keep that energy going, and then everybody is on clicking on all cylinders.
Right next door, Mark Coons, Toledo TV.
Tomorrow, Haskell Garrett's Thanksgiving giveaway. Tell me a little about that, the motivation behind that, the inspiration behind that, what you're hoping to accomplish.
Yeah, no, in high school and even growing up, it was always emphasized in my family to give back, you know, and I felt that with NIL and the funds that I made through NIL gave me this great opportunity to use my platform and to use the financial funds to help, you know, other families in the community of Ohio. And I feel that with all the support that we have, it's something that I can do personally to give back to community.
Got time for just a couple more. Third row right, Tim May, the Emeritus Journal.
I don't know what that means. Wait, this is my real question. What was the tradition, Hawaii Thanksgiving Day? What y'all have?
It's a lot, you know. There's turkey, you know, your traditional turkey, yams, collard greens, stuff like that. But for me, it was really just going outside and preparing the pig with my parents and with my family members. And when you sit up all night with your cousins and just talk and have that family time, just to slow down and have that quality time with your siblings meant the world to me over just meals. And that's what we really emphasize. A lot of things are based around meals in Hawaii and in the Polynesian culture. And, you know, you get to really connect and love your siblings. With all the social media and things that are going on in the world. It allows you to stop and put a pause on things.
When you make that speech you had, or the little talk you had in the before the game, and then you step up and make that play, did it feel like a shot of adrenaline goes through you, or was it like getting hit by a lightning bolt? What was it like to follow through, if you follow my drift?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's a shot of a lightning bolt or a shot of adrenaline, just really it just came through me, and for me to do that, and for it to be able to energize the whole team is truly a blessing and an honor. It just really shows how much, you know, my brothers really trust me and allow me to set an example for them, and them to feed off of me and be that energizer buddy.
And then one last quick, you guys bust your rear ends almost 24/7, 365 around here to play in games like this. What is it like to be going into a game where everything you've worked for, and obviously it's like that for you guys almost every week, but I mean, now it's like, you know, men or stay home, so to speak.
Yeah.
What is that like to kind of be facing that moment?
I mean, it's what you love about Ohio State. It's why you're recruited here. It's why you commit here. It's to be in moments like this. You know, you have 2 back-to-back weekends with college game day. Like, who doesn't want that as a top recruit? And I just feel that around here we live under pressure and we love chaos. So I'm excited for Saturday.
And final questions for Haskell, front row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Haskell, you had your breakthrough year last year, then you're denied the chance to play Michigan. How much did that factor into your decision to come back, to be able to play one more time in this game?
I'd say it was a part of it. It was a small snippet, but for me, really to come back was I wasn't quite ready to leave the brotherhood yet, and for me to have the opportunity with a COVID year was that opportunity to, you know, have one last year with my brothers and leave behind a great legacy, and to just leave Ohio State better than when I found it.
And, you know, I know you went through some injury stuff middle of the season. How do you feel now? Do you feel like you're back to being the Haskell Garrett you want to be?
I feel 100%.
Great. Haskell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nicholas? Hey, Haskell. This is really quick. All right, we have Nicholas Petit-Frere up front. We'll open up the floor. Front row left, Nathan Barrett, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
We kind of look alike. I get it. Can you just, in the small amount of film that you guys probably looked at them already, can you just break down what makes Aidan Hutchinson and David Jobo hard to stop, and what makes them different as pass rushers?
They're talented, they're fast, they're athletic, they're strong. I mean, they're everything that you would imagine a great defense end to be. And, you know, they're a great challenge for us this week. It's a great opportunity. I mean, I think we've had a really good stretch of games here in November and October as well, that we've had like some amazing pass rushers that we've had to go up against as a team, and amazing defense we had to go up against as a team that have been kind of touted as like probably some of the best defenses in the country. I think the Big Ten this year has really had a great time showing how good of a defense we have in the Big Ten country. And I think that a lot of teams, including ourselves, have shown that throughout the country. So this is just another challenge for us. And those are 2 amazing and talented defensive ends that we're about to go up against.
Does it change preparation? Because I know with George Karlaftis, that's just him. When it's 2 of them that you are maybe more notable names.
I mean, almost every person we play is pretty notable. I mean, like I said, like every single week we've gone up against amazing players. And although some guys maybe don't have the same notoriety as the other players that we're talking about, almost every single week there's always some talented guy that we're going up against that have an amazing moves and have an amazing skill set. And we prepare for them like we prepare for them every single week, which is we work hard. We have a great Tuesday practice, have a great Wednesday practice, have a great mental day on Thursday, another mental day on Friday, and get ready for the game on Saturday.
Front row right, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Nick, last week you went through senior day. What motivated you to do that? And was that your last game at the shoe?
The reason that motivated me for me to have a senior game was because I graduated this fall. Right now, it looks like I'm gonna possibly graduate with possibly like a 3.5 or like a 3.7 for this fall semester. And with that being said, I should be done with all my classes academically for me to have my degree in business marketing. So I decided that since I was going to be graduating, that's the reason why I wanted to go and walk, because it was a testament not only to myself when I came here. That was one of the main missions, was for me to go and get my degree as quickly as I can, whether that had been 3.5 years, like we always talked about, or 4 years as well. But also it was a testament to my mom, because one thing that me and her always talked about was that I wanted to be the first male in my family to ever get a college degree. And that was something that I was really passionate about, and that's something that I strive for every single year that I've been here. And I felt like that was a testament to her, that I would give her the opportunity to see me walk when I got my degree. And I felt like this was a great opportunity for us just to walk.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Letterman row.
Nick, I don't think you graded out as a champion last week. Is that Jerry's fault that he just left you off, or was there something last week that you didn't?
That is Mike's fault.
Mike.
Yeah, I was about to be confused. I was like, I graded out 85%. I was like, damn.
So you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was like, dang, I guess something happened. I guess they checked the film back. Okay.
wasn't on there. I thought that would have been surprising because you seemed like you played pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the offensive line played well. Our team played well. Our offense came up against a great team against Michigan State. They were ranked coming into the shoe and senior day, and it was just last home game of the season, and we all just wanted to play our best for our fans and play our best for Buckeye Nation. And I feel like we were able to do that. We came out rolling in the first quarter and the second quarter really well, and then we were just striving through in the third and fourth quarter. Our defense had an amazing game as well. So in terms of me playing well, I think I played well because the team played well, and that's usually how it goes, because we always talk about if you do your job and everyone does their job, we'll always do well.
Sorry, Jerry.
Yeah, no, that's no problem. And I do have NPF down on my list of champions.
All right.
Go to the far left, Jacob Bench, the lantern.
You talked with Ryan about how you're part of the #1 offense in the country, and you're going against a defense that is top 10 in the country, top 3 in the Big Ten. Do you view this week as going to be the biggest challenge you've going against in terms of defense this season, and why do you feel the way you do?
I mean, I think it's the biggest challenge because it's a team up north. I mean, regardless of what they're ranked or anything like that, at the end of the day, this is one of the greatest rivalry games in all of sport. It's called the game for the reason, and it's one of the most taxing and most energy that we ever give to any single game, any single opponent that we have, because we prepare for it for 365 days a year. So that's the reason why I would think it's probably the most challenging, because we know that they've been preparing just like we have, and we're here for us to go and try to win that game, because that's probably one of the biggest games of the year, and that's what makes and breaks our season.
When you're part of an explosive offense, and then you're going to go up against a defense that plays really tight, plays really well against other teams, what is the key for one of them to kind of prevail over the other, in your opinion?
I would say execution. That's something that we talked about a lot during the season. Just making sure that we execute every single play, every single time we get onto the field, because when we're executing, we create energy on the field. When we create energy on the field, that's usually when we have our offense rolling, and that also gets our defense rolling as well. And whenever our defense is executing and getting stops on third down and things like that, that gives us energy as well. So it's just kind of a vice versa kind of like synergy between us. So I would say that that's probably the thing that I would attest to that.
Right next door, Brendan Gulick, BuckeyesNow on Sports Illustrated.
Nick, who is in practice this week? Who is repping Aidan Hutchinson or David Jobo to give you a look at what you think you're going to see from them?
So that'll be our scout team. But I mean, so Tuesday we always have good on good, and Wednesday we'll also have good on good as well. So I mean, I'll be going up against Zach Harrison, Tyreek Smith, Javante, just all our defense DNs, JT, and then I mean, just whoever's at the defensive end position when we do good on good, or even on scout team, they're all repping, giving us similar looks to what they'll give us, and also talented looks, because almost every single defensive end that we have here is probably some of the most talented guys in college football. That's something that we always talk about, like how when we go into practices that there's never a day that we go into practice thinking, oh, it's just an easy day in practice, because we know that we're going up against really talented pass rushers and really talented defensive players, because that's just how we recruit, and that's how Ohio State's been. And we always know that every day we do bring our A game, and that's usually how it goes on Saturdays as well.
When we talked with Zach, I asked him about how he has perceived the confidence on your side of the ball as you guys have grown. How have you seen the defense get more confident and play with more, greater emphasis, as the season's going along?
I think they really came together in just terms of communication and just becoming more one with each other. I see them always hanging out in a locker room and stuff like that, but I've seen them all hanging out a lot more outside the locker room as well. I think there's kind of bigger bonds that are being created, and like lifetime bonds that are going to go past just playing college football, that are more about not only when you play football, but like, let's say academics, or also just life in general. Like, we've had a lot of moments here that maybe not a lot of people know about, that are kind of more internal, that have grown our team on the offensive side, and especially on the defensive side. And I think that kind of is a testament to why they're kind of rolling right now, and why they just seem like they're like going so hard, and why they're playing so well.
Fourth row middle, Colin Gay Rivals. Nicholas, we know kind of the challenge that you guys are facing in Aidan Hutchinson and David Jobo, and I'm curious, I mean, what does the conversations look like between you and, say, DeWant, like preparing for, I guess, that challenge that those two players in particular face?
I mean, we just talk about the film. We talk about what we see on film, and then also once we get our playbook and we get the plays down, we also talk about, okay, what do we think their tendencies are? What do we think that we have to protect against so that our players are successful? So that's usually what the conversations between him and I are on a day-to-day basis.
Is it
has DeJuan kind of, molded into kind of someone you're like, yeah, this is someone I trust on the end to kind of make sure, because Michigan has a distinct pass rush and a lot of pressure being put on the backfield, and it's affected a lot of other Big Ten teams. So I'm curious, is he someone that you're like, yeah, this is someone that we can trust to make sure they don't get to CJ or Trevion in the backfield?
I mean, he's been starting literally every single game this whole season. And that was a testament to how he's been in terms of the winter and then spring ball and then fall camp. That's something that we as an offensive line saw, Coach Studd saw, and then also Coach Day saw, and we all felt that, you know what, he's been having a great time. He's been training hard. He's been doing well academically. He's been doing well socially with the team and everything like that. And that usually culminates into someone getting playing time, and then in his position being able to become a starter, and not only being a starter, but being one of the best players in college football right now. He's really showing out. And for his first year playing, I couldn't imagine him having a better season.
Front row middle, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Going back to what you were saying about the execution and how that kind of creates energy with the offense, did something feel like it got corrected between Nebraska and Purdue, and that's creating the energy you guys are playing with right now?
I wouldn't necessarily say that something got corrected. What I would say is that we executed better. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that can stop us is ourselves. At the end of the day, that's kind of what we say here, is that we're a good enough team for us to go out and compete and for us to score on almost every single team in the nation. But the thing that can stop us is more about ourselves and how if we don't prepare well, or if we don't execute well during practice, or if we don't have a great mental day on Thursday or a mental day on Friday. Those are the things that can contribute to us not performing well on Saturdays. So I think there's probably been a heightened sense of focus in terms of every single day and making sure every rep counts. And I think that's kind of contributed to why we've been playing well and why we maybe sputtered a little bit midway through the season, but then we also picked it back up. As also as a testament to our resiliency and our ability for us to take one play maybe or one game, and if it wasn't the best game, to push it aside and say, look, we have another week, we have another opponent. We can't dwell on the things that go wrong. We have to improve. Whether or not we do well during the week or not, we have to improve and find a way to get better.
You were also missing Tyreek Smith for a good chunk of the season from those good-on-good practices. How has it changed those since he's been back?
I mean, he's gotten more competitive. I mean, regardless of the fact of if he was injured or not, or if he wasn't at practice or not, we still have to compete every single day. But this adding a Tyreek Smith to a defensive line like that is just adding another amazing player. It's not you know what I mean? The defensive line is probably one of the best in college football, and you're just adding to it. That's usually how it goes, that we never really have to create a whole new defensive line. We always have great defensive linemen that come in every single year. And with that, I never really say that, we need to add to the defensive line. It's they just added this guy. And although they maybe replaced a guy from a year past, it's no, they're not really replacing. They improved the guys that they already had. So the defensive line is still going to keep improving. And every single year they improve and get even better, and they compete even harder every single year. So that's kind of how I see that, is that although he wasn't there, we still had amazing practices. We still had hard practices against really good guys. And just adding him just made it even harder and a better challenge and more competition during the week.
Got time for just a few more. Front row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Letterman row.
No offense, but
Formerly, and then now the dispatch.
Founder of
It's a long day. Promoting you guys. It's been a long day. A lot of promotion out there.
Sweet's getting you, Jerry. Your adrenaline would be high just because of the rivalry anyway, but is it extra going against, let's say, Hutchinson, just knowing that battle within the battle is going to be such an important part of the game?
Is the team up north. Enough said. Is the team up north. I mean, the best is the game. That's what fuels this rivalry. And every single year names change on different people's back plates and stuff like that, and jersey numbers change. But at the end of the day, the rivalry will never change. This is a rivalry that's been long-standing, long before I was here, long before my grandparents were here, and it's this rivalry that is probably one of the best in college football, one of the best in sports in general.
How long do you think you played this year? And in terms of Hutchinson in particular, his obviously a talented guy, but his relentlessness is kind of off the charts. What's the challenge when you face a guy like that, and does that kind of ramp it up for you, knowing that he's never going to stop?
And responding to the first part of your question, I think I played well. I mean, overall, every single week, I'm always looking to improve. There's never been a week that I've said that I played perfect. And no matter what I had in terms of how we graded out here or whatever we did on the field, there's always room for us to improve. That's something we always talked about, that there's always room for us to improve as offensive linemen. And in terms of Hutchinson, I mean, he's just an amazing player, has an amazing motor, a great defensive end. I think he's probably one of the more touted guys in the country in terms of playing defensive end and has great aspirations past college football as well. So just another great, amazing challenge that we were gifted and afforded. And it's just an awesome opportunity, and it's the game. So.
Right behind him, Doug Lane-Reese, Cleveland.com.
I hope this question doesn't sound silly, but for a team like Michigan, a lot of teams do this. Hutchinson and Jobo are going to flip-flop sides, right? From snap to snap, I think you may not know who you're going to be going up against until they line up. In that situation, do you know, okay, now it's Hutchinson or now it's Jobo. Okay, remember, he likes to do this. I think he's going to do this. Or do you just get ready to play and then react to what happens? You know, like how much do you note who it is that you're blocking out of play?
It's a little mixture of both. I would say that the preparation of understanding the opponent and understanding the person you're going up against comes throughout the week of practice. And that comes into the game. And then once you're in the game, you usually remember those keys and those tips and tricks that you had. But then also it comes with the football IQ of just playing a game. You know, you can never expect what the other side is going to do. And even though you maybe have keys and tips and tricks on the person, at the end of the day, you got to play football. The game's never changed. Is that two teams are going to go play. There's a ball. Got to go score more points than the other team. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. And you got to go out there and compete and play this awesome game.
And then weekly, you know, there'll be different data sites around college football that'll put stuff on social media. DeJuan Jones and Nicholas Petit-Frere didn't allow any hurries, didn't allow any pressures this week. Do you and DeJuan, I mean, with the way you guys chart stuff, are you and DeJuan aware of which one of you has given up the fewest sacks, the fewest pressures, whatever? Is there any little competition between the two of you?
We'll know in film. Like, we'll usually be told if we give up a pressure or a sack in film, you know, like, because we'll usually be told about it and we'll figure out ways for us to fix it. But in terms of like all like the statistics and all the grade outs and things like that from like different sources, I mean, it's great. And it is very nice and rewarding to have people come and say good things about us or say that we've been performing well. But at the end of the day, as long as our team's winning and we win every single week and we're 1-0 for the week and we go on to the next week, that's all that really matters. And usually when you win, things like that happen because you win, you know? So if you lose, things like that won't happen. So that's kind of how we see it, is that if we keep winning and we keep performing, if we keep winning, we will perform well, and then the accolades will come with it. And we don't really harp on it, but what we will do is if there are issues and things that we can fix, we'll make sure that we fix those, and we make sure that we enhance the good and we fix the bad things.
Right next door, Tim May, Letterman Roll.
Nick, did you ever play quarterback? I'm trying to remember. Ever? You
No.
always had the X on your helmet, right?
I don't know if we had X's. We had just a weight limit back in Pee Wee, so anyone could have played quarterback. But I think I played running back maybe for like half a flag football season.
Yeah.
So,
well, what I'm getting to here is, as much as you feel the pressure or whatever you want to call it going into this game, the build up, the quarterback has his hands on the ball every play. It really comes down to how that guy plays in these kind of games and stuff. And it looked like last week, C.J. Stroud seized the moment like never before. What is your sense of your confidence in this guy going into this game with everything on the line, everything y'all are built for to this season, to this point? What is your sense of confidence in this guy compared to maybe going into that Minnesota game a long time ago?
same confidence I had in Minnesota as well. I mean, I've seen CJ from winter workouts and how he's developed and how he's became a leader, and I've seen him how he grew into his role during spring ball. I've seen how when we came back from spring and that how he worked out and how hard he worked during the summer and how he was in his playbook and learning plays and drawing up schemes and things like that, and his testament to the game and how much he wanted to prepare every single day. Fall camp, I saw how hard he worked. I saw his dedication to the game, his dedication to the training room, the weight room, everything that it takes to be an amazing football player to prepare himself for the season. And I've seen him grow throughout the season in terms of him becoming a leader, not only on the field, but off the field. I've seen him be able to handle the pressures of being the quarterback of an amazing university like Ohio State, or just the pressures of being a quarterback in college football in general. And he's been taking a hold of that, probably the best I've seen anybody ever take it. And just all of that culminated into him becoming who he is, and saying that he had an amazing game at Michigan State is just saying that everything that he's worked for this entire year has been showing up, and now it's all coming together. And I think that's what I would say to that.
And final questions, third row left, Dan Hope, Letterman row. Yeah. Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
It's Thanksgiving, you know.
Yeah.
It's just trying to get to it.
Nick, just to clarify, regarding the senior day, have you made a decision about what's coming after the season yet, or are you still waiting on that?
Still figuring it out. I mean, at the end of the day, my mission is just to keep winning games for this team, you know? And like I said, for the senior day, I just wanted to walk because I got my degree, and I felt like that was a good thing for me and my mom to have that moment and share that with each other, because that was something I always wanted to make sure I got done. And I didn't want to wait on that moment, because I was like, I didn't really see the need for me to wait on capturing my degree if I knew that I was going to have it in my hand, and she knew it as well. So
Personally, I mean, you haven't started a game against Michigan yet, even though you've been here for 4 years. Just how much does this mean to you to finally get that opportunity to play a major role in this game?
I mean, it's everything. I mean, we always talk about contributing here at Ohio State, and we always talk about not only contributing in terms of just the season in general, but in this game, in the game. And, you know, it's just amazing to be a part of the history. It's amazing to be a part of what it means to be a part of the game, and to go up against a team like that, and to have my name etched in the history books in terms of being able to play in a game like that. And it's just an honor, and it's a blessing, and, you know, just excited for Saturday.
Great. Nicholas, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So that all started because I went Jeremy, you, Spencer, and I didn't want to have 4 Letterman row in a row. And then, well, no, you became emeritus. That's right. And then it came back up to bite me. I do anticipate having Chris Olave as our last guy here today, folks. See you back here in a while. Yeah, honestly. November 9th. Yeah. But yeah. Someone, I mean, here, like the ironic game. That guy moved to the Maryland game last year. It's a day of the Maryland. This year. It's a hockey that I see. So it's like, he don't know this. Joins John Calipari. Mike Calipari. I'm pretty sure he killed my brother. Back in 2011, Ohio State lost to Kentucky in the Elite Eight. When they were the Cincinnati. They were. It's in for the drug test. Brandon Wright. That's wild. This guy just called me out of the blue.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is good. All right, we'll open up the floor for Chris Olave. We're gonna just get this out of the way. Front row right, Austin Ward, Letterman row.
I'm not going to be wrong. Chris, what is it about the game that has brought out the best of you?
I mean,
it's a competitive game, one of the best rivalries in sports. So when you come to that game, all the preparation we have in the off season, winter, spring, summer, and even fall camp, I mean, it all comes to this week and putting everything on the line. So that's the competitive that comes out of me, and I feel like the rest of the team.
As somebody who goes through the full 365 and how important the rivalry is, and the fact that you've also played really well in these games, how much did it hurt last year to not have it?
It was weird. It was a weird year, COVID year. I think 3 of our games got canceled, and unluckily, that was a game that got canceled. But I'm just glad we get to play in it this year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Right next door, Jeremy Birmingham. Let him
Chris,
roll.
Michigan was one of the teams that recruited you towards the end as you were starting to kind of become well known.
Mm-hmm.
How did the value of this game change between what they did on the recruiting trail and what Ohio State did?
They both recruited me real hard. At the end of the day, it was a decision I had to make for my future, and that didn't make an impact. But I have respect for that program, and it's a great team, and I'm looking forward to playing.
Sorry to cover you. Did their staff talk about this rivalry at all in the recruiting effort at all?
A little bit. I didn't get that deep into that school, but I talked to them a little bit. But I was kind of leaning towards other schools.
Right behind him, Tim May. Let him enroll.
Yeah, Chris, is there a sense that this offense is clicking on all cylinders going into this game? I mean, how much better are you guys from the standpoint of, confidence in your quarterback, confidence in everything else? I know you had confidence in him from the beginning and stuff, but CJ seems to have really taken it by the horns recently and stuff. But what is the sense of this offense going into this game?
I feel like we're real confident. We've been confident the whole year, but just to be able to click in all cylinders these past few weeks has boosted our confidence a lot more. I feel like we're having a lot more fun spreading the ball around. And even when we make plays, we're happy for each other. And I feel like that's all that matters is we're having fun out there. I feel like we're going to be clicking at all times.
Right next door, Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com.
Chris, where did you put your record-breaking ball?
My dad wanted to take it home, but I just wanted to keep it at my house for a little bit, just to cherish it. And it's a huge blessing to be able to have that ball, and I got it at home right now. So,
you obviously had a big game against Michigan as a freshman. There have been, I'm thinking about a guy like Donovan Edwards at Michigan who just had a big game for them last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, what's it like as a freshman when you're a talented guy, but you're wondering if your role is going to grow, and you keep working in practice, and then here it is at the end of the year, and you actually have a huge contribution that you make at the end of the year. What was that like for you as a freshman? What is it like for any freshman in that situation?
For me, it was kind of I just kept my head down, kept working. I knew an opportunity was going to come, and I wanted to jump on that. But it came in that game, and I jumped on that, and that's where the blessings came from. But as any freshman, I mean, you want to get on the field and make some plays for your team. And for me, it happened in that game. So that's what happened.
Right in front of him, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Is the feeling on the offense that the only people who can stop you is you? Do you feel kind of unstoppable at this point? And what's that feeling like?
I feel like that's how we felt the whole season. As our offense, we got so many weapons, so much talent around the field at every position. I feel like when we go into a game, the only person that can stop us is us. So as long as we're on schedule, stay on schedule, and keep spreading the ball around, I feel like that's what it is.
And when somebody just says the name Michigan, what goes through your mind?
I mean, it's our huge rival, probably the biggest rivalry in sports. So we definitely feel some type of way about them, but we definitely respect them at the end of the day. It's a great program, always top 10, always a good matchup for us, and always the last game of the year. So we respect them a lot and can't wait to go out there and play them.
Front row left, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Chris, when an opposing defensive line knows, when you know they just have multiple dudes who can kind of speed up your quarterback's clock a little bit, does that have any level of impact on a receiver and when you guys are out running routes?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, as a receiver, you're not racing DB. You gotta race the D line. So when the other team has great pass rushers like Team Up North does, we gotta believe in our O line and kind of speed things up and try to get some yards after the catch. But we believe in our O-line, and we'll compete on Saturday.
You being the deep threat that you are, and how it's been up and down this year, kind of finding you out there. Do you feel like you're most impacted by situations like that when you have a quarterback who might just need to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker, so it kind of impacts those long developing routes?
Yeah, definitely it does. But like I said, we believe in our O-line. I believe in CJ and Coach Zay to make those play calls. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day.
Right behind him, Dan Holt, 11 Warriors.
Chris, Coach Day said earlier that this defense he thinks is the biggest challenge that you guys offense will face all year. What is it about it when you're watching the film that you see this defense is going to be a challenge for you guys?
They're real good at every position. They got great front seven. Those pass rushers are real good, and they're solid in the back end too. So they got that safety. They got plenty of players around and a good scheme. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us. But we at the end of the day, we just got to compete and have fun and go out there and see what happens on Saturday.
For you personally, when you made this decision to come back for this year, was this one of the games that you were thinking about at that time?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I wanted to play in this game one more time. The atmosphere is crazy always when we play them. And just to be in a rivalry and be at Ohio State for this game is huge. So definitely was a thing in mind for my decision to come back.
There's a lot of guys who haven't played in this game because of what happened last year. What do you say to those guys about making sure they understand just how big this game is?
I believe they understand. The freshmen that came in last year, they've been preparing almost 700 days for this game. So I know they're prepared. And the freshmen that just came in, I know they're prepared. So it's just a matter of time for when the game comes, and I know we'll be ready. So.
We have time for just a few more. We'll go to the far left. Jared Smalley, WCMH.
Chris is building on Doug's question a minute ago about that game in your freshman year. Now that you've had all these other experiences, all these other records and achievements in your career, do you still look back at that game as kind of a linchpin, kind of that moment where you pivoted to something special? Like how critical was that moment in your career?
It was huge. It definitely changed the way my career was going. And it kind of boosted my confidence a little bit. Having that game and that specific game was huge for me. And have everybody celebrate and get around me and tell me so many things after that game was huge. So definitely boosted my confidence and changed my career.
And we'll wrap things up. Front row, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Chris, you guys could end up with 3 receivers over 1,000 yards this year. Are you surprised you don't have a Blitnikoff finalist?
Not at all. I mean, for this program, we kind of spread the ball around. We're all happy for each other. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to look for personal awards. We want a team award. So I saw the finalists that came out earlier today, and I'm proud of Jobo. And I feel like he's been real good this year, and his stats say it the most. But I'm real proud of him and everything he's come from. So I can't do anything but root for him.
Great. Chris, do you think it is harder for people to try to figure out how to vote for this stuff when there's 3 of you guys, though?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know who votes for it, but I know it was tough for them. I think you only could pick 1 receiver from each school. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel all 3 of us should have been on there. But at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter to us. We just want the team awards, and we'll see what happens the rest of the year.
Great. Chris, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right.